Hi, it's Kate. So I'm just going to take you through the publishing process step by step. And we're just going to do this really quickly because, quite honestly, it's very easy to publish your paperback books through KDP. It's pretty self-explanatory as you work through the process, and it's only a couple of pages long that you have to fill out until you can submit your paperback. So you begin by choosing your language, again, self-explanatory, and then your book title. And there's a few things I do want to say regarding your book title. One of them is that I've seen every trick in the book during my 8 years in self-publishing when it comes to authors trying to trigger Amazon's algorithms by keyword stuffing in the book title and subtitle. It's not necessary, and while you may get away with it the odd time, and you'll notice that when you're researching low content books, you'll say, how did Amazon let that go through? Because you'll see book titles that are just so heavily stuffed with keywords that it's almost unreadable. Certain people get away with it once in a while, but you're not going to get away with it for long. So instead, focus on your title being very direct and user-centric. Your book title also has to match whatever appears on either your front cover or the spine of your book. It doesn't have to appear in both areas, but it does have to appear on one or the other. Your subtitle does not have to appear on your book. Again, sometimes you can put a string of keywords and get through, but it's far better to base your subtitle on something that actually makes sense to your reader. You can include something like a 100-page keepsake memory book or something like that if that's what you're selling, because that does make sense and it's relevant to your book. But don't go stuffing a ton of keywords in there. You're limited to 200 characters between your book title and your subtitle, so you want to make those count. Next is series. Now, if you're publishing a series of low content books, like I do, where I do books and journals and notebooks targeting indie authors and some business women. So I have a series, and really all of my books are the same. They have different covers, but the interiors are all the same and themed towards, like I said, business women, self-published authors. And a series just helps readers find your other books. So if you have multiple books in the same niche, consider turning them into a series. Give it a really cool series name and adding that into the series information field when you publish your book. The edition number, I leave blank. I've never filled this in. And then the author. Now, regarding pen names, you can have as many pen names as you want, and I have many. In fiction markets, I have 4 different pen names. With low content publishing, I have 6 different pen names right now. And that is really just to test the waters in different niche markets. And then once I find that a certain niche is selling really well, then I focus on developing that pen name and furthering that brand. I don't create a website or social media for every pen name. What I do is, again, test the waters and see what sells, and then spend your time on that particular brand, the one that's bringing in the most money. So choose a pen name and enter that in. With contributor fields, I've seen authors stuff these with keywords, and you'll notice this as well. It's meant to be for people who participated in your project. So like editors, photographers. It's not meant to stuff keywords in, and please don't do that. Like, Amazon's cracking down on it, and it's really not necessary. Description. This is where you want to spend the most of your time, but there's one way to save time when writing the descriptions for your low content books, and that is by creating a template or like a formatted blurb that you can just copy and paste and then slightly change every time you publish a new book. So for example, if you've written a blurb already for a year-long planner, then, and it has the things like the size, that it's great for gift giving, who the book is for, like you really want to target your description towards the buyer. You don't want to keyword stuff it. Your keywords will be added naturally if you're describing your product accurately. But you want to focus on the user and to give them as many benefits up front as possible to convince them to purchase your low content book. So make sure you include things like page length, again, who it's best for. Like mine would be for the busy woman, for the self-published author who's looking to publish their first novel or plan out their book. And again, always say it's great, as a gift for people or a stocking stuffer if you're targeting towards the holidays. But spend time writing your description, keep a copy of it, and then you can easily modify it to adapt it to other future publications so that you're not writing from scratch every time. So my description is definitely loaded with keyword strings, but it still reads very accurately and is going to give my buyer all the information that he or she needs to make that purchase. Next up, keywords. So one thing that I've seen new authors make mistakes with is adding in singular keywords. You never want to do that. You want to add in keyword phrases. These are long tail keyword terms. So instead of just journals, you would want to write journals for first time moms. Okay, like you want to add as many keywords that make sense that you possibly can. And I have a whole module dedicated to finding the best keywords for your low content books. And I really hope that you read through that because it will help you choose the most relevant targeted keywords. And keywords are what drives in traffic. This is what people are on Amazon searching for. So you want to think from a buyer's perspective. What would you type in if you were looking for the kind of book you're selling? Let's take a look at the keywords used for this particular book and let's identify the problem. I'm sure that you've figured it out. It's that the keywords have been used multiple times. This makes absolutely no sense. If you are to use the word journal once, don't repeat it. It's totally unnecessary and it's a waste of the space that you have. So let's say that we were creating a student planner. So you would use words like student log. So you'd never use student or log again. You'd go instead with school planner, college notebook, educational journal, or maybe course tracker. These are all completely different keywords that target the same customer base. So just keep in mind that if you use a keyword once, like journal or sketchbook or diary or logbook, never repeat it in any other keyword field. And then categories. Again, I have seen so many people place their low content books in the most irrelevant categories. They don't make any sense. And the reason why they do that is because they want to hit that bestsellers tag. But hitting the bestsellers tag means nothing in terms of sales if you're placed in a category that is not only very small and underserviced because it's not in demand, but also that your book doesn't belong in. So you want to focus on choosing your categories so they make sense with the kind of book you're publishing. As a member of lowcontentpublishing.com, you have access to niche reports that I've created, and I'm going to keep working on those so that you guys get new ones as I find time. But if you look through those niche reports, I provide the top few books in each category that are selling well, and I've analyzed what categories and keywords they've used, so that will give you a head start on choosing categories for your books. And then finally, you need to choose whether your book contains adult content. This is language and images and situations that are inappropriate for children under 18, of course with low content books. I assume that's a no. Okay, so on the second page, you get to choose a free KDP ISBN number for your book. And typically as indie authors publishing outside of Amazon, these could cost you like quite a bit of money. But Amazon provides you a free ISBN number. So just select get a free ISBN number and then Amazon will generate one for you. And this is just an example ISBN. This book won't be published if you go and look it up. This is just for this example. But as you can see, this book has already been signed a free ISBN number. So then next is choosing a publication date. I never enter anything, I just leave this as is and it will just publish on the day that it goes live. And then next we have our print options. So when it comes to choosing interiors, I typically choose black and white with white paper, but in some cases I do choose cream. It really depends on the look and feel you're going for. For example, when I published a wedding guest book, I chose to go with cream pages just because it fit the theme of my cover, which has a rustic look. When it comes to color interiors, keep in mind that the printing cost will be higher than that of black and white. You'll be able to see how the cost is calculated on the next page. But I suggest always print it in black and white. unless you have images in your book that absolutely need to be printed in color. In regards to trim size, you want to make sure you select the correct size based on the book you're publishing. Click on select a different size, and then you can choose from the available options. I'm going to go with a 6x9. Most of my low content books are printed in 6x9, but going back to my wedding guest book as an example, I chose 8.2 by 6 inches for that, just because that's the commonly used size for a book like that. When it comes to publication date, I leave it, completely skip it. That date will be assigned based on when your book goes live. And when it comes to print options, I typically choose black and white interior with white paper, but in some cases I do choose cream. It really just depends on the look and feel you're going for. As an example, when I published a wedding guest book recently, I chose to go with a cream interior just because it fit the theme of my cover, which has a rustic look. When it comes to color interiors though, keep in mind the printing cost will be higher than that of black or white. But you'll be able to see how the cost is calculated on the next page. I do suggest always printing in black and white unless you have images in your low content book that absolutely need to be printed in color. In regards to trim size, you simply want to make sure you select the correct size based on the book you're publishing. So just click on select a different size and then choose from the available options. So for this example, I'm going to publish a 6x9 low content book. And by the way, neither the cover finish, paper type, or even the bleed settings affects your printing cost. Okay, so the only time your printing costs are affected is based on your trim size and whether you choose to print in color. And finally, you get to choose your finish. I publish in both matte and glossy. Again, it depends on the type of low content book I'm selling. Again, with my wedding guest book as an example, I published that in matte because I love the smooth, soft texture of the cover, and it just went with the theme of my book. But glossy covers are great as well, especially for kids' books. I do recommend ordering a copy of one of each format just so that you can see the difference in the finish. And now you want to upload your manuscript in PDF format. And I already went ahead and uploaded one of the templates from lowcontentpublishing.com. And then you want to upload your book cover. And again, this has to be in PDF as well. And then click on Launch Previewer. Oh, and I never click this box where I assign my own barcode or I add my own barcode to the template. I just let Amazon add it for me. So now click on Launch Previewer. And by the way, this can take some time. And it will tell you go make a sandwich or go have a cup of coffee, because it really can be pretty time consuming. I already went ahead and did this hoping it will save some time, and it did. Okay. So the print previewer, this is a required step during the publishing process on Amazon. And it's a good thing because once you hit approve on your book, not in this step, but in the next step, once you set your price strategy, and Amazon's quality control team also approves it, it immediately goes live. So there's no time in between you approving it and them approving it where you can go back in and say, hey, wait, I want to change something. So make sure that you look at your book thoroughly before you click approve in the final step, because again, once you do that and it's off to the KDP team and they approve it, then it goes live on the market. So if there are errors in this process, you'll usually see them on the left side here. As you can see, there are no errors, but you still want to look through the book and just make sure everything looks good to you. Yeah, and it does. So when you're ready to go to the next step, click approve. Now this is the final step in the process, and this is where you choose territories. Typically you would just choose all territories, and then you have to set your price point. So start off by entering just any amount, and then Amazon will calculate what your royalty will be. So if I price this book at $5.99, my royalty is $1.30. And you should play around with this just to see the difference of royalty rates. And then when you're comfortable with it, then set it, and it will automatically populate the other marketplaces based on whatever you enter into your primary marketplace, which is Amazon.com. You can also go in to .co.uk and all these other marketplaces and adjust the price independently, but I let Amazon set it based on my primary marketplace cost. If you read my module on price strategies, you'll see how there are ways to increase your price while still outselling the competition. And then finally, when you're ready, click on Publish Your Paperback Book. And remember, after this, and it goes to the support team and they approve it, it's live. So if you need to go back and make any sort of changes to your content, then you can click back to content and just go through each page again, double check everything. And when you're satisfied, click Publish Your Paperback Book. And congratulations, within 48 to 72 hours, your book will be live on Amazon.